Jen, take one more. Stand by. And one. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
What brought you to the Q Center?
Well, I was already a graduate student in my second year in the School of Social Work, and I was in the distance program, so I was living in Eugene, Oregon, and traveling up here on weekends to Seattle. And I was just lucky enough to be looking for a job to move to Seattle at the time that the university was looking to hire a graduate student to start a center. And I had done a similar job for a little while, and I had gone to graduate school before, and I had done a similar job when I was in graduate school at the University of Oregon. And so I applied to be that person to start the center, and the timing was just such that it worked out, and they hired me. So that was great. I was pretty excited about that. It was going to pay for my education, which was nice. But also, it was exciting to be able to start something rather than jump into a program that was already going. Because I had been around queer spaces and queer advocacy for a long time, and I knew that I didn't want to create something that was done in the same way. I knew that it needed to be done really differently, and I wanted to start it from a place of centering racial justice, centering racial and gender justice, and intersectional justice, and that would be a task, given that I was a white person, and so I wanted to be able to start that with a collective of people around me, and I was looking forward to doing that.
This is a good segue to the next question. What, if any, were your worries about starting the center?
Yeah, so my worries about starting the center were that my biggest worries was that I would fail, and for me, failing would be I would create something that would serve people who were just like me. That would be failing. And I knew I could do that easily. I could just show up and create a center, and people who access universities who are white and middle class and educated would come, and they'd use the center and they'd feel happy, and that'd be the end of that. And that would be miserable. So I knew that my biggest work would always be talking about what I thought should be the core of it, which was racial justice. And that every time I spoke and every time I did anything, that would have to be what I was leading with, because my body would be doing the speaking for me everywhere I went. And so I knew that I would have to counteract that, not just through my words, but through also my actions. And so I was really, that has always been my biggest concern. It continues to be my biggest concern about being a leader in this space. So that was my worry.
And did you have any hopes about what you wanted to find at the space when you made it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting that 15 years in, it's too high in the sky to say we're there, because we're certainly not in a place where I think everybody feels like they can access our space, and there's certainly racist things that happen in the space, and I certainly make mistakes all the time. So we're by no means perfect. And 15 years in, it is really gratifying to be able to look at the space and feel the space, and to feel like, yeah, this is what I wanted to do, and I think this is what students wanted to do, and it's and more and more it's really becoming owned by the students, and that's just so exciting to me, that it's theirs. That's what it should be. It's what it always should have been.
Well, as the person that started the space, you're very aware of its history. So what kind of activities can students engage in at the center, maybe historically, but also now?
Yeah, well, historically in the space, I mean, we really just started with a room and um, and students who were a lot of them mostly volunteer at the very beginning, um, and they were students who were just giving of their time because they needed something like that. And it was such a different time. Just 15 years ago, it was such a different time around sexuality, and a lot of those students felt like that was really the only place they could be and be out and be okay and and find community, and then when they would leave that room, a lot of them wouldn't tell anybody else about their sexuality. And certainly there are people who are still living that life now, and a lot more people feel freer to be who they are in a lot of different spaces. So our work has changed, and also we've grown. So we still are a space, and people still come here, and they still find community, and they still maybe find that this is a place that they can bring all of who they are and exist here, and that has always been central to what we want to do. That I want people to be able to feel like I can walk in that space, and I don't have to leave one single part of myself outside the door. That I can bring everything in, and if something happens in there where I feel like I can't bring a part of myself in, I can stand up for myself, and I'll be backed. So that's a really important thing to me. And then the other things that students can do are really anything they want. I mean, that's what we tell them at the beginning of the year. If you can think of it and you want to create it, we want to see you create it. And so our job is to just be here and support you in your leadership and help you create the things that are in your mind. And so I think of us as more of a laboratory for students to put whatever their dreams are into action.
What do you think makes the Q Center a unique public space for queer and trans folks?
I think it's that well, in a university, I think one of the things that makes us unique is that we don't have a top-down. We're not top-down. We're really the way that Jamae and myself and Lev think about our work with students is that they're leading us, and they're telling us what we need to be doing, and our job is to really just be here to support students and to and give them the knowledge we have and share that with them, but that it's not our job to put knowledge down. Our job is to just share and disseminate this way. And so I think that's a different kind of a space in an academic institution like this. So I think that's unique. The other thing that I think is unique is that in the university, a lot of places like to call themselves interdisciplinary, and then they really aren't. and I really feel like this is a place that does that. I mean, one of the coolest things that I see us doing like this year is connecting community activism and art and healing and the way that art and history all come together, and thinking about like history and social work and art and activism and how all of that, how all of those things come together to in one person's life to manifest in a number of things that for them. It could be just in a moment for them to have an insight, or it could be over the course of a year for them to have a whole healing process, or it could be like a dissertation that somebody comes up with out of that. All of that, the alchemy in here, to me, is what is so cool about this space.
How has the Q Center been a positive force in your life?
Wow, that I think that may be the most, for me, I think that's the thing that I didn't expect to have happen was that, I was 34 when I got this job, and I thought, I'm 34, like I'm cooked, I'm fully cooked. I don't have any, not that I didn't have anything to learn, but that I thought like my sexuality, my gender, I'm done with that. And that was wrong. I was not. I wasn't even close to done. And I think that from being around and working with students, I was able to really have a journey back to my childhood and find that 5-year-old kid who knew exactly who they were at 5 and 6 and 7, and then put gender on the back shelf for the rest of their life until 39, and then started looking at it again. And so I think that has been the most revealing part to me, that this whole vulnerable experience I've had around my own gender and sexuality, thanks to the students here who are so willing to share their vulnerabilities with me. Yeah.
Can you talk about a favorite event or memory that you have here at the center? I'm sure there's many.
There's so many. There's so many favorite memories and events, and I think about the years that have gone by, and it's every year I can think of one or two things that just are like they happened yesterday, and with a lot of the staff members who I now know are out and are directing their own programs, or who are some people are working for Google, or they're running HIV/AIDS crisis programs in San Francisco, or we have people who are just doing such really incredible work all over the world, and I can still see them like the first time they walked in the center. And those are the moments that I remember, that the very first time I saw a student and their face just so scared, and then seeing them at Lavender Grad, and then seeing them 5 years later, and knowing that we had such an important role in their life, and that role is now playing a part in the lives of all the people that they're interacting with. That, I think, is the most memorable thing for me.
Thank you for sharing your vulnerability. In this regard, how has the center played a role in your education? Education could mean so many things.
Yeah, right. Well, so just in a formal way, everything I did in graduate school had to do with this place. My dissertation was about centers. Everything I thought about was about centers, and it wasn't just about like how do I run a center. It wasn't like that. It was like, what does space mean? Like how does racism and cis sexism, how do they shape a space, and what do we do with that? How do we push against that, and how do we decolonize a space? So I had questions that I wanted to ask and answer in my academics that were based on, how do I make this place different? How do we push against what is shaping this in a way that we don't want it to be shaped? And so that was part of my education. But the bigger part of it is, this is my education. This is my this is all about my personal life. This is all about um, my social life. This is all about my internal life. Um, this is where I have my friendships. This is where I come to better understand my daughter in lots of ways. I mean, being here and understanding my own gender has helped me be a better parent, because when I had my daughter and she started figuring out her own gender, which is, and she's probably, you know, just a cisgender girl. I started realizing if I you know, try to push this kid into wearing like gender neutral clothes, because that's the thing that we should all do, then I'm really pushing it. I'm doing the same thing to her in this opposite direction that I had done to me as a kid, and I really need to honor the femininity that my child is showing, and what's going on with me that I'm not able to do that. And so then I was like waking up to my own misogyny, and that was because of this place, and I wouldn't have ever faced that, and because I faced that, I could undo my own gender, and I could figure out like who am I even attracted to in the world, and all of that had to do with having this job and being around all of the people that I've been able to be around.
Given the current diversity in our generations, what do you think the work for spaces like the Q Center will be in the future? And what should universities need to know or do about that?
Yeah, this is the thing I keep talking about. What we should be doing in the future. What I see is that you know, for 15 years I've seen students come into these kinds of spaces, and this is where they do their work. They do their social lives here. They do their academic lives here. This is where they get support around the kinds of things they want to research, the kinds of things they want to write about, kinds of things they want to do for their career. And so I believe that these kinds of spaces need to have more support from all sides of the university. So where students who, like yourself, who's a grad student, can do research out of this space if they want to. Where someone like myself, who's a lecturer, can do my own research and can be seen as a faculty member rather than just as this one place over here. You only do these things, because we're not only doing these things. We're doing so many things across academic lines, across policy lines, I mean, we're asked to do almost everything on campus, and universities like this are just not good at understanding that kind of fluidity and that kind of hybridization, and unfortunately, I think they're really going to have to figure it out, because that's what we're doing. That's what these generations are doing, and that's what these kinds of spaces are doing.
Were you involved in any way with the Viva Healing Conference?
The only way I've been involved with that is to support Genesis and support the students in putting it on, and to just be so excited that it's happening and that it's continuing to happen, and to hear about the joy, and just be so excited for Genesis and for everybody else. So yeah, I want to continue to support that.
Do you feel impacted at all by the conference? Or?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the students who we really, the students whose voices and experiences we are really focusing and centering our services around that's who the conference is for. And it's for the students who are historically and contemporarily marginalized within academic spaces. And that conference provides a space where people can explore all these different ways of thinking about healing and community, and And it's not again, it's not the kind of thing that we see coming out of academic spaces every day or any day, really. And so for students to be able to not only put that on, like, and feel supported, but put it on and also then attend it and have it happen at an academic space multiple years in a row, experience it, go to it. I think it does a lot of things. It tells them not only are you, like, not only do you belong here and you can see yourself here, but you belong here, your leadership belongs here. And it's going to be supported. Maybe not by everybody, but it's going to be supported, and there's a future for this. And I just think all of that is really crucial.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share today about the Q Center, yourself, or your involvement?
I think the only other thing that I want to say is that I think I've been in awe. I think that one of the things that I have been in awe of over the years is the incredible people that have gone through here, that I have been able to work with and see as students, and it has been and continues to be, I don't know, it's a little bit overwhelming actually to see and hear just, I mean, how really amazing and wonderful everybody is. So.